Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. The end of the season, the end of the decade of the 198 races we've had in the 2010s. Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel have won 120 between them. We started out in the Middle East with a Ferrari 1-2 in Bahrain 2010. It's not been Ferrari's best decade since, unfortunately for them. We're here in Abu Dhabi, the country currently with the world's highest net migration rate and a population that expands year after year after year, and a country that makes up 80% of the landmass of the United Arab Emirates. It's the 11th World Championship Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and we race around a 3.45-mile circuit. 21 corners, 12 to the left and 9 to the right. The lap time taken at full throttle for 60% and speeds of about 210 miles an hour down the long back straights. Overtaking chances? Well, how about turn 7 for starters? This is Max Verstappen on Esteban Ocon in last year's race, coming after the pair clashed, of course, in Brazil. How about the chicane at turn 8 and 9? Romain Grosjean trying to get past Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg thought he was safe and ended up rolling over into the barriers. And this is Pastor Maldonado on the inside of Mark Webber. Mark Webber trying to go round the outside and ruining his race way back in 2012. We'll see what happens today over 55 laps on 3 tyre compounds that are the softest in the Pirelli range. The medium tyre about a second slower per lap. The hard tyre could be a good race tyre, even though it's about 2 seconds slower per lap than the soft. C3, C4 and C5 the compounds. Here's the starting grid then. Lewis Hamilton on pole in his 250th Grand Prix start. Max Verstappen alongside him. He's never led a lap here. Charles Leclerc starts third with a fuel investigation hanging over his head during the race. Sebastian Vettel, his teammate, alongside him, ahead of Alex Albon in 5th, and Lando Norris, who equals his highest start. Daniel Ricciardo 7th on the grid for Renault. Carlos Sainz is 8th for his best qualifying here. Nico Hülkenberg in what could be his last race is 9th, ahead of Sergio Perez for Racing Point in 10th. Pierre Gasly starts 11th. Lance Stroll down in 12th. And behind these, Danny Kvyat, only one Q3 appearance in the last 15 races, ahead of Kevin Magnussen, 2 Hasses in Q3 in Brazil, both knocked out early on yesterday here in Abu Dhabi. Grosjean's 15th, and beside him, Antonio Giovinazzi, ahead of Kimi Räikkönen, his Alfa teammate, with George Russell out qualifying Robert Kubica at all 21 races this season. And Valtteri Bottas starting last today because he's taken not one but 2 brand new power units for this weekend. It's Robert Kubica's last race. It could well be Nico Hülkenberg's last race. It's the last race of the decade, Martin Brundle. It's an end-of-term feeling. Let's hope we get a race like Brazil. What a gloves-off contest that was.
Yes, nothing to lose, as they say, and gloves off. So Bottas starts on medium tyres right at the back of the field after that power unit change and all the goodies that go along with that attracts extra penalties. So the top 10 are what they qualified on in Q2, so that means Vettel is the outlier there in the top few on the soft tyres. And then you get down to Norris, Ricciardo, Sainz, Hülkenberg also on the soft tyres, Perez and back then Gasly and Stroll on the mediums. And the unusual one is Danny Kvyat for Toro Rosso starts on the hard tyre and then back to mediums, soft for Antonio Giovinazzi. Unusual there then, the way that Alfa Romeo are coming at this. And finally, Russell and Kubica in the Williams starting on hard tyres. So it's quite a short run to the first corner braking point. And the way they should have their start systems fairly well tuned up by now, shouldn't they, at this end of the season, 21 races in.
Well, they say practice makes perfect, and they've been practicing all season long. Lewis Hamilton, the only driver to win at least one race in every full season that he has competed in. He could win a 50th race from pole position today. His teammate Valtteri Bottas needs to slice his way through the field. If he can get a good start, Mercedes believe, with a safety car helping maybe as well, the top 4 is possible for him today.
Yeah, when you get to the midfield and that frenzied racing we see there, it's very easy to lose your front wing or something coming up behind a bunch of cars that are all busy racing each other. And of course, as Bottas comes through, it's 4th position. He'll not be helped through there with any blue flags, as he normally would, as he would expect to be lapping some of them.
And what I'm looking forward today, Hamilton starting ahead of Verstappen, starting ahead of Leclerc. The 3 best drivers, you would argue, I would imagine, this season, and they're all within touching distance of each other at the start, and they've got nothing to lose. They can go out and give it absolutely everything. Hamilton's got the advantage of pole, of course, but Verstappen, what does he do? Try and defend or try and attack? He's attacked the best form of defence at the start of this race.
Yeah, he's already teasing, isn't he, as Lewis backs the pack up. He doesn't want to sit too long on the grid. And we know how feisty Max can be, but I don't know. That Mercedes has looked so good, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So good in terms of pace, the longer runs, and you can't help but think there's no point in Lewis taking too many risks, whereas in fact Max needs to take a few risks to get track position.
And then behind those three, Sebastian Vettel, who the numbers say has had a bit of a horror of a season, 320 points last year, only 230 points for this season. Vettel starting on the soft compound tyre, so he'll be starting, you would imagine, much faster than the three ahead of him, and will look to get at least one, if not two places on that opening lap.
Absolutely, yeah. The tyres will fire up early. It gives him a metre or two advantage off the line, not quite half a car's length, but it's significant. They start 8 metres apart, the grid slots, so it's worth it to get down to the first corner. Probably a bit more confidence on the brakes as well. So, yeah, we'll watch out for Vettel in the first few corners.
Other battles to look out for. The best of the rest. 6th place in the championship. Will it be Pierre Gasly or Carlos Sainz, who are tied on 95 points? Will it be Alex Albon, potentially as well? 3rd place in the championship hasn't been decided as yet. In the Constructors' Championship, Toro Rosso are snapping away at Renault's heels. Racing Points have Alfa Romeo only 10 points behind them as well. The championship might be decided, but it's not done and dusted yet. There are plenty of battles to be had on a track, as you can see, that Mercedes have dominated in recent years.
We raced here for the first time in 2009. I must say this place looks beautiful. They keep it immaculately, don't they? The budget they must have here, but it's certainly a spectacular venue, isn't it? It looks glorious, especially as the light fades. But it hasn't always generated it should. You've got a hairpin to a long straight and a slow chicane and another long straight. It should be amazing for overtaking, but it hasn't always worked out that way.
Toto Wolff back in the hot seat after missing Brazil and returning to see Lewis Hamilton take a 10th career front row here in a 5th pole position in Abu Dhabi. He settles onto the grid with Max Verstappen alongside him, Charles Leclerc just behind, Sebastian Vettel just pulling into his grid spot now, Alex Albon, who starts on the 3rd row for the 5th consecutive race, Daniel Ricciardo, and behind him the McLaren of Carlos Sainz and Nico Hülkenberg. What can he do? Let's keep our fingers crossed that in what could be his final race that lasts an awful lot longer than last year here when he was out on lap 1.
That extended yellow line out to their left is for them to be able to see where to stop their front tyre, because they can see so little over the front cockpit of the chassis. They need that line to help them position the car.
It's been a thoroughly enjoyable season. I hope you've enjoyed it along with us. And for one last time, it's lights out and away we go. Lewis Hamilton gets away well. Max Verstappen slips in behind him. Charles Leclerc ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Alex Albon has the McLaren of Lando Norris for company, but as they all go through the top 10 unscathed, going wheel to wheel, the McLaren of Sainz with Nico Hülkenberg as well. I think the alarm stroll down at the back went off at the first turn, and the 2 Racing Points back on the track as well. In towards the hairpin we go now, as all the cars concertina up. On the inside is Kevin Magnussen getting ahead of Nico Hülkenberg. Hamilton comes out of the hairpin ahead of Verstappen and the 2 Ferraris, and there's contact at the back as they come through the hairpin.
Yeah, there's contact as well on the outside of turn 1. I believe there's a Racing Point involved. And look at Leclerc breezing past the Red Bull.
That wasn't expected there. Charles Leclerc ahead of Max Verstappen, and there looking up is Antonio Giovinazzi. Valtteri Bottas has made up places as well, already up in the 16th from the back of the grid. You can see the Mercedes coming through ahead of Danny Kvyat, who's got Romain Grosjean giving him an awful lot to worry about. Verstappen now has been overtaken by Vettel, but he's trying to fight back, keeps ahead of him as Albon locks up ahead of Carlos Sainz, who's ahead of his teammate Lando Norris. And Norris gets past Sainz and gets a tap for his troubles as well as he squeezes past the Spaniard. Sebastian Vettel all over the back of Max Verstappen.
Verstappen really seems extra slow, isn't it? I don't know whether it's the Ferrari's particularly quick, but there's no doubt about it. Leclerc is definitely keeping an eye on Hamilton. There'll be a bit of tyre management going on in the early phases of this Grand Prix, but Ferrari looking particularly racy.
Once again, I don't think the Red Bull lighting up its tyres the way it wants to when it starts on that medium compound. Hamilton crosses the line, and he is 1.6 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc, who's a second and a half clear of Max Verstappen. Sebastian Vettel, Alex Albon, Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz the top 7. Then Ricciardo, Magnussen up to 9th, Hülkenberg 10th. Perez has dropped down to 11th ahead of Stroll and Giovinazzi. Raikkonen now Bottas 15th ahead of Kvyat. Grosjean, Kubica, Russell and Pierre Gasly wanting 6th place in the championship, already into the pits minus the front wing.
So the problem is they jack the car up on the front wing, so they'll have to lift it by another means, little side jacks. And normally it's a dozen to 14 seconds. And then they'll get a jack underneath to release the car down. Hard tyres going on. The nose not coming off particularly well, though.
Right, let's look at turn 1. Gasly on the outside. Gets a tap from Lance Stroll. Goes into Sergio Perez, loses front wing.
Yeah, I think Stroll got a little bit hot in there, locked his brake behind his teammate and slid into the Toro Rosso. Yeah, I noticed the 2 racing points were involved in that one, but that is bad news for Pierre Gasly. As bad as this, Crofty.
Oh dear, look at all that. Taking an absolute age in the pit lane, and the stewards are looking at that incident. They've noted it, and they will be taking a look, I'm sure, in a few moments. If you're just joining the race, Charles Leclerc runs in 2nd place at the moment, but because Ferrari declared an amount of fuel that was significantly different to the fuel that was in his car when he left the garage, the stewards are going to look at that irregularity, that possible breach of the technical regulations after this race. That could be bad news for Charles Leclerc as Hamilton comes to the end of lap 2, and he's already a long way clear as we head to Sky Race Control and Anthony Davidson.
Yeah, just looking on this onboard, Crofty, of Lance Stroll. Just went in there a little bit hot, as Martin said. And, yeah, he taps the Toro Rosso into Sergio Perez, and that's what damages the Toro Rosso's front wing. So I can't see how Stroll, unless they're being kind to them today in the whole let them race thing, I can't see how he's going to get away with that, really.
It's often the case, Martin. First corner incidents do get a little more leniency, shall we say, from the stewards.
And so they should, but no investigation necessary then, it says, in that first corner contact.
The stewards have obviously got somewhere better to go after this race and don't want to have too many investigations or penalties handed out. Right at the back, George Russell's been overtaken by his teammate Robert Kubica. The 2 Williams running 18th and 19th. Romain Grosjean, you've got to feel a bit sorry for. Grosjean had a perfect setup on Friday, and then his car got damaged by Valtteri Bottas, and he had to go back to a different floor and a different setup, running 17th, not enjoying himself, while Kevin Magnussen is 10th, or is he 10th for long, as Sergio Perez closes up on him, and Valtteri Bottas gets interested behind Lance Stroll going into that chicane. Now, another long straight to come, and if Valtteri Bottas can get a good exit, Lance Stroll could be in a bit of trouble here, and Sergio Perez might be in a bit of trouble as well with Kevin Magnussen behind him. But let's look at the start once again as the lights go out. Hamilton away well.
Perfect launch at the front. Leclerc got a very good start, didn't he? This is not where he's going to get ahead, though, of Verstappen. We see it in the back. Yeah, we've recounted that story, haven't we, between the 2 racing points and Gasly. I thought maybe Alex Albon was going to have a run. We're not on board with Albon. Have a run down the outside and pass a Ferrari down in turn 5, but I had to step on the brakes instead. Ooh, dear. That was a bit of a thump, wasn't it? Nothing he could do about that.
Poor old Pierre Gasly.
He did nothing wrong at all. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, unfortunately, in terms of, you know, you've got to attack. It's like a half-hearted rugby tackle or pass, you know, at soccer. You've got to go for it.
Well, this is how it looked on board with Lance Stroll. We saw the brakes smoking away at the start. Gasly originally locked up. Stroll didn't help by locking up a little bit, I think, himself, and we saw the resultant damage. Pierre Gasly running last after finishing, of course, 2nd in Brazil last time out. This is Valtteri Bottas' getaway, and a bit later on the brakes, and the Williams to his right. He's already a couple of places to the good by the time he gets into turn 1.
Yeah, managed to duck underneath the drama there with Gasly as well. So the DRS is currently disabled due to a technical issue. There it is on the top of your screen. That's highly unusual, isn't it? Yeah. So obviously they're only allowed to open it on the 2 parts of the nominated 2 parts of the racetrack. Seems as if they can't monitor that properly. The drivers,
they get a bleep in their ear.
Yeah, they can override it, can't they?
Hamilton coming up to lap Pierre Gasly out in front, and Kevin Magnussen will be quite thankful there's no DRS. I think Lance Stroll will be quite thankful as well, because they're the drivers are the most under pressure as Perez slides into the chicane.
It's hurting Bottas, though.
Yeah, it is.
He's still down. He got up to 14 pretty much straight away. But he can't pass the similarly engined Mercedes engine that is Racing Point in front of him, of Lance Stroll.
Yeah, this is where Valtteri Bottas and Mercedes would have been expecting him to get past Stroll using DRS, and Giovinazzi ahead of him and Perez ahead of him, and making it up to the top 10 by round about lap 5. It's not helping Valtteri Bottas' chances in this race at all. His teammate, meanwhile, is now 3 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc out in front as we head down to Ted Kravitz. Evening, Ted.
Hello, Crofty. Hello, Martin, everybody. And he needs to, doesn't he, Lewis Hamilton, because that is a threat from the Ferraris behind. Hamilton has the pace for the moment, but just looking at the Ferrari speed, Leclerc's so much faster between sort of, depending on the lap, depending on whether he's pushing it full out or not, depending on the lap, between sort of 6 and 14 kilometres an hour quicker in a straight line than the Mercedes. But Hamilton is making up the space and the gap.
As there goes Valtteri Bottas on Lance Stroll. Nice move into the first chicane. He had to get that job done there. Didn't want to stay behind Lance Stroll down the straight for any longer, and Bottas has put himself up into 13th. Ted, back to you.
But Stroll on the radio saying that his car is next to undrivable because of the damage to that right front.
Yes, the front right is killing me, the damage, he said. As he, well, you see the few vibrations there, and he might have a little go at Valtteri Bottas here. No, pulls out from behind the rear wing of that Mercedes, and he's just a bit too far back to make the lunge.
Not a lot of point in him tripping over Bottas. That's not his race this afternoon. And Bottas having to go a little bit defensive again, but he feels he's got enough space.
Slipstream here, Sergio Perez on Kevin Magnussen, though. Just thought for one moment there, with DRS, he'd have been alongside the Haas. For those who don't like DRS, Martin, and think that it's a band-aid to fix a broken leg, as it were, this is what racing is like without DRS, ladies and
this
gentlemen.
circuit that created the DRS, wasn't it? When Vitaly Petrov basically held up Fernando Alonso for an entire Grand Prix and cost Ferrari and Alonso a world championship.
And Sebastian Vettel took over and led the championship for the first time that season at the end of the race, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, Sergio Perez wants to get past Kevin Magnussen. Maybe you'll have seen it on one of the big screens around the circuit, because the drivers often look at these. Might have to try it through turn 5 and 6 into that chicane, as Bottas did to Lance Stroll.
Yeah, Bottas sort of double shuffled him through there. He put it wherever Stroll put his car. Bottas put his car somewhere else. He had the grip, he had the speed to do that.
Talking of Lance Stroll, an early pit stop for him after 5 laps of racing. His tyres have had enough.
Mate, the engine doesn't pull in low RPM. What is this?
Stand by.
Verstappen getting mixed messages on his dashboard at the moment as Bottas gets a very nice exit out of the hairpin and now can slipstream behind the Ferrari-powered Alfa Romeo of Antonio Giovinazzi. Now, with DRS, he'd be alongside. He's going to have to try something without DRS, and he goes down the inside on Antonio Giovinazzi. And if practice does make perfect, his practice attempts on Romain Grosjean, but then did all wrong in practice on Friday, has helped him in that situation. That looked a bit easy.
Doesn't pay to look around you too much when you're coming into that turn 8. It's a little cul-de-sac.
Perez down the inside of Kevin Magnussen. He's been lining this one up for a few laps now, and the Racing Point gets past the Haas and up into the points. Perez now 10th, Magnussen 11th, and you can see the 2 Renaults just ahead of Sergio Perez. Bottas now creeping up onto the rear wing of the Dane.
Perez is your man for race day, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's not had a great qualifying run, particularly for him, but he certainly put in some great race performance. Mr. Solid, isn't he? Mr. Bring the car home in the points, Sergio Perez.
Scored points in the last 5 races has Sergio Perez, which after Alex Albon's accident with Lewis Hamilton in Brazil is now the 2nd longest streak on the grid. 70% of his points this season have come in the 8 races since the summer break as well, as we look at Max Verstappen struggling somewhat behind the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, who is racing here under investigation by the stewards for a breach of the technical regulations concerning how much fuel was declared in his Ferrari when he left the garage. We'll keep you abreast of any decision after the race itself.
Leclerc's just done a fastest first sector.
We are going plan A, update tire phase when you can.
So plan A for Charles Leclerc, which you're thinking is a one-stop this afternoon. On board now with Valtteri Bottas. The car ahead of him is Kevin Magnussen. He's a long, long way back, is Bottas, but watch the exit that he gets out of the chicane now. The Haas often having trouble preserving the life of its tyres. Round about 6 or 7 laps into the race, they start to feel a few problems, and Bottas getting that better exit and having a much better speed down the straight as well. And he slips towards the inside, and Magnussen knows that's not really his fight, and a battle that he wants to be putting up for long. Valtteri Bottas up into 11th place now. He's got past the Haas and the Alfa of Giovinazzi in the last couple of laps. Let's head down to Sky Race Control with news on Max Verstappen. Anthony Davidson.
Yeah, so they told him to change engine mode after he complained about the engine, and yeah, they went down to mode 6. He was then saying, can I go back to mode 7? And they confirmed, no, mode 6, Max. So yeah, he's in a bit of trouble there, and they can't quite seem to figure out what it is yet.
Right, definitely don't go to mode 7. 4.5 seconds. The gap out front between Hamilton and Leclerc, the Ferrari, just can't cope with a Mercedes in the final sector. It's giving Hamilton plenty of daylight as he starts at each and every subsequent lap.
Yeah, it was my fear that Lewis would check out up front, especially with Bottas starting on the back row of the grid. Bottas now up, as we know, to P11 and chasing down Perez, but Lewis can run the race at his own pace, look after his tyres, keep off the curbs. Just perfect for him. The only thing that would spoil that would be a virtual safety car or an actual safety car. Otherwise, he can really control everything that's going on around him at the moment. It's really a question of how long Vettel's soft tyres will keep going, isn't it? That'll be the story, because I think if Vettel pits, it might trigger some other pit stops as well.
Already the most successful driver here in Abu Dhabi with 4 previous wins. The first 8 laps have gone swimmingly for the 6-time world champion. With news of another British driver, Lando Norris, is Ted.
Yeah, probably another 4 laps before the pit window opens, so we'll see. But quickly on Lando Norris.
2 seconds, Ted.
We need to push as much as you can.
Leclerc getting the hurry up.
Might be hard with all that fuel he's got in weighed down by that. But really interesting for me with Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz 6th and 7th. And what are McLaren going to do about this? Because one of their targets today is for Sainz to finish P6 in the Drivers' Championship. And the people he's up against are Alex Albon, who's currently in 5th, and Pierre Gasly, who's currently nowhere, having spent about an hour and a half in the pits. So that's crucial, isn't it? With Gasly out of the picture, McLaren need to optimise. As McLaren are getting ready in the pits right in front of me, they need to optimise their points for Sainz today, but that might mean swapping positions with Lando Norris.
Well, Norris comes into the pits now.
Carlos
Sainz has plenty in hand at the moment. Albon's in a position to go a point above Sainz if Sainz doesn't score any points, but he's currently running 6th, and if he drops down to 7th, still got plenty in hand with, as you say, Pierre Gasly down in last place. I want to say pedestrian stop for McLaren there, but 3.9 seconds stationary. We've seen it faster this year.
Yes, the right rear apparently was a bit sticky at some point.
1.82 was it the world record pit stop that Red Bull set in the last race for Max Verstappen? Yeah, 1.82 seconds, the fastest ever pit stop in Formula One. Remember how long your pit stops used to be?
Well, it depends if you had refueling or, yeah, somewhat longer than that.
Yeah, I think Alex Albon saying you've barely got time to take a breath now.
I felt some weird vibrations turning in. Check the tires. Copy, I will come back to you.
What I noticed, and I talked to Alex Albon about it on the grid when I was doing the hot laps earlier on, probably hot lap speed, there was a lot of discarded Formula 2 rubber out there. You picked that at a ball of that rubber, it made road tyres vibrate like crazy. So you can pick a bit of that up. I can't imagine he's kind of worn out his front tyres at this point.
Charles Leclerc is pushing as hard as he can, but he's about 0.3 of a second slower per lap on average at the moment than Lewis Hamilton. Lap 6, he was nearly a second down. Ted, to you.
So a couple of things from the Lando Norris stop. First of all, yes, it was the right rear seemed not to be able to come off, and the mechanic had to double gun, as they call it down here, to have another go untightening the nuts and then doing them up again. And that's the thing that costs all the time if you have to, quote, double gun, Crofty, as they say, the piece we did yesterday explaining all of it. But so first of all, will Carlos Sainz be able to close up to Alex Albon? We'll see. Does he have the pace in his...
2 seconds.
So everything is fine on data.
And if Sainz can't close on Albon in that fight for sixth in the championship, will Albon now respond and see a potential undercut with Norris, who was behind him on the road? Probably not, you would have thought, because it is the hard tyre and the Red Bull is a quicker car anyway.
Thank you very much, Ted Kravitz. Lap 10 of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, no DRS. There is a problem, a technical issue affecting the deployment of DRS, so Valtteri Bottas is having to work doubly hard for his overtakes this afternoon, and he has already got past quite a few cars into the points, 10th place, and he's got Sergio Perez in his sights.
What he has, though, done is joined the queue behind Carlos Sainz. The queue is Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, Perez, and now Bottas, all in close formation, and really being driven by Carlos Sainz's pace. Presumably he'll pit quite soon, as his teammates already pitted, but the four Renault engine cars were all running very close together, weren't they? Two McLarens and the two worked Renaults themselves.
Now, Bottas, I'm sure, would quite like those to get out of the way in front of him, and given that Hülkenberg, Ricciardo and Sainz are on the soft compound tyre, how much longer can they carry on? Let's try and get some intel from the McLaren pit wall. Zach Brown, the CEO, is with us. Zach, good afternoon, good evening. One driver made his pit stop so far. How's Carlos Sainz performing on those soft tyres?
Yeah, Carlos is going all right. Lando had a flat spot, so that's why we pitted him early, and now he's on some hards.
Were you holding your breath a little bit in the opening exchanges? Lando, when he was getting past Carlos, got a bit of a tap from his teammate behind him?
We're a little bit of rubbing racing, a little bit of front wing damage, but it looks
and if we can hear you, Zach, because the reception's not brilliant, what is your strategy in terms of Carlos and Lando today? How much do you protect Carlos for that sixth place, or is it just go out and race, guys, where you finish is down to you? Either Zach Brown is auditioning for the next series of Doctor Who, or we've lost him for a minute.
See if we can help Carlos if needed.
Okay, Zach, thanks ever so much. We'll try and fix that line. It sounded a bit Dalek-esque, unfortunately, and I just missed what Sebastian Vettel was saying on the radio as well. I wonder if his tyres are starting to fall away a little bit as well.
Well, Vettel certainly are. He's back in the 144s now. You've got Hamilton in the late 1:42s. A decent lap here, 21 corners, of course, anti-clockwise, 3.5 miles, 5.5 kilometres. And it seems, I don't think Sebastian Vettel appreciated the, look, hurry up, get on with it, earn your money. He says he's pushing as hard as he can. I wonder in what other sports you would, like, can you kick the ball a bit harder, please, or something like that. I don't know in which other sport you might get a bit of a hurry up, especially when you're scaring yourself silly at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's an anomaly peculiar to Formula One, I think, on that one. Vettel been told to push as Daniel Ricciardo now comes in for Renault. This could cause a few pit stops at the end of the next lap. Hard compound tyres going on for Ricciardo. So Sainz and Hülkenberg, how did they respond? And the pit lane here, if you don't know this Abu Dhabi circuit, it is quite unique. It takes you down a hill and underneath a tunnel.
Slowest corner on the circuit, 60 kilometres per 40 miles an hour through there. And I said yesterday, every time I've been driven through it this weekend, it's a little bit tighter than I remembered the time before. It would be so easy to have a silly crash there.
Comes out behind Lando Norris in 15th place. We're on board with Valtteri Bottas. He's got one racing point down into the first chicane. He's got another racing point at the next chicane this time around. Bottas overtakes Sergio Perez, and he moves past and up into 8th place now with Ricciardo pitting.
Quite an interesting experiment, isn't it? No DRS, and we're getting some reasonable overtakes in pure slipstream.
It certainly wasn't planned, but I am rather enjoying seeing drivers just having to work that little bit harder, and it's well, it's not hurting Valtteri Bottas' chances too much, although you dare say he would have been past some of these a few laps previously. Into the pits then comes the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc.
And that's hard times going on. That's not the Ferrari I expected to see first this evening.
Certainly not. Double stacking. So a 2.6 second stop for Charles Leclerc. Sebastian Vettel front left. It's a bit problematic for him. Oh, and he was stationary for way too long, almost 3 times as long stationary, because they just couldn't get the front left on, and that is the problem. When you double stack, you are expecting a lot from your pit crew.
If you were just listening to that pit stop, you'd convince yourself they put 20 wheels on it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
The guns were going on and off. And, yeah, well, it's the same colour as a London bus, and they tend to come along two at a time. And that's what we saw with Ferrari, front left there. But then he still wasn't able. There was still something else going on in the back of the car.
We'll see a little bit better from this angle. He has come out, Sebastian Vettel, behind Hülkenberg, behind Bottas and behind Perez as well. Carlos Sainz has now pitted, and because Daniel Ricciardo came in a lap earlier, Sainz is now having to really scrap away with Ricciardo to get back ahead of the Renault, and I think he's just managed it.
And that should play into Alex Albon's hands, because I think he'll end up nasty lock up there as well for Vettel. The harder tyres are a little bit less susceptible to flat spots, but they're just about getting away with it. He's got a long way to go on those tyres.
Back comes Sergio Perez for a bit of action. Daniel Ricciardo's got back on Carlos Sainz as well into the chicane. Vettel's a bit too far ahead. Shame we're missing that battle between the Renault and the McLaren there. They've been running very, very close on this lap. Ricciardo has got back ahead of Carlos Sainz, so that undercut working well for Renault in this instance. The two at the front, separated now by 9 seconds. Well, going to be Alex Albon coming in from third place for Red Bull. Hamilton leads, Verstappen second. Leclerc now retakes third place. Hard tyres going on Alex Albon's Red Bull, and out he goes with a 2.8 second stop. Just looking to see who's coming down the pit lane. Hülkenberg who hasn't stopped. Bottas who hasn't stopped. Sebastian Vettel, the car behind them. And there is Vettel going through turn one as underneath the racetrack goes Alex Albon. You can see him just coming up down by the time. Yep, he comes out and over the crest. Sebastian Vettel is ahead of Alex Albon.
He was before the pit stop, but I wondered with that horrible pit stop of Vettel's whether Albon, who was 2.4 behind him, I don't really understand why that didn't give Albon track position, but Vettel obviously did a very good outlap.
Needed another world record pit stop, I think. Ted, down to you.
The reason is that Red Bull were hoping that they would do another 1.8 second pit stop. And a second would probably have done it, wouldn't it?
It would.
Team
2
radio.
seconds.
Tyres are still okay for me. I just keep going.
Understood, Max. You're doing a good job. Keep it going.
Sorry, Crofty, I've got my team radio magnet.
And there's another one.
Extending just a little bit.
Anything you can do, we can do as well. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton being told to stay out there for a bit longer.
I think the story here is
the McLaren and the Renault are getting very close to each other. That's Carlos Sainz.
and he had to give that place back because he went off the road, getting feisty, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Well, you've got to pick your spot. Without DRS, Ted, they're having to pick some other spots for overtaking.
Just last thing from down here, just a quick one on Valtteri Bottas, currently up to 5th, which is ironically where the Mercedes strategy computer think he's going to end this race. So let's see if he can do better than that.
Yeah, they're hoping for a safety car at some stage to help Valtteri Bottas a bit, and we're saying as well, don't forget that the race director Michael Massey's been very keen to bring out safety cars recently. Maybe it helps the show a little bit more than a virtual safety car, bunches everyone together. Certainly in Brazil it gave us great action in the closing stages there.
I think the story here is that the soft tyres are going better than they expected. I mean, Hülkenberg's still going very well on this, so they've gone a little bit further into the race from most drivers that started on them. But out front, Hamilton and Verstappen still very happy on their tyres.
Talking to the Renault strategy man, Matteo, just a few nights ago, and I said, how often do you go into a race and everything goes perfectly, and how often do you have to improvise on the pit? Well, he says, no, normally we have to improvise a little bit. We get all our data, we do all our practice, but it's never 100% accurate by the time you come to the race.
I know, they always spoil my Sunday morning when they go, yeah, we did 5,000 race simulations last night, and, well, actually, we know the results and things like that. And then luckily it rains, or there's a safety car or a shunt or something in the first corner, and they have to think on their feet.
Or the biggest variable in Formula One climbs into the cockpit, the driver, and ruins all the careful hard work from the night before, or makes a massive success of it. No investigation necessary, Ricciardo and Sainz, because Sainz gave that place back again. And here's Hülkenberg, Bottas, and behind these comes Sebastian Vettel and Alex Albon. Nice little quartet getting ready to do battle here.
The nut that holds the steering wheel, that's what the drivers are also known as. Some proper little queues going on out there, haven't we? One behind Hülkenberg now. Norris and Sainz and Ricciardo are caught up behind Grosjean, which is hurting their current pace.
And I wonder if Nico Hülkenberg, by staying out that little bit longer than those he was previously battling, is going to use the overcut to keep ahead by the time he pits. Final race for Nico Hülkenberg, going very well in fourth at the moment, and certainly a lot better than he did here last year, and that's good to see as well. 177th and potentially final race, as he hasn't got a drive for next season. Ted, to you.
So the sharp strategists out there will know that they won't, if they pit their guys behind someone like Grosjean, a slower car, they won't have DRS to get past them. So that's throwing another factor, guys, into the computation about those strategy simulations would be all done, won't they, with the fact that they could use DRS. They wouldn't
exactly.
know.
2 seconds.
Rears are getting hot, but they seem to be okay still. Okay, copy.
They wouldn't know that if you pit and you're stuck behind someone like Grosjean, that might ruin your strategy. So I think that's what Mercedes with Hamilton and Red Bull with Verstappen, just making sure it doesn't happen to them.
Thank you very much indeed. Lewis Hamilton, 10.7 seconds clear of Max Verstappen. They just both put in a personal best lap. Hamilton was 0.6 quicker than the Red Bull as Lando Norris gets ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz and moves up into 13th place. We ride on board with Sebastian Vettel. We hear the words of Anthony Davidson at race control.
Yeah, Crofty, they're keeping Hamilton out there. He's doing a good job just slowly extending that gap to Verstappen, of course, and they're monitoring that gap to Leclerc, so that kind of virtual pit stop fight that they have, and they reckon that they're still 6 seconds ahead at this stage in that kind of virtual fight. So as long as it stays around 6 seconds, they're going to keep Hamilton out there, I'm guessing. The longer you go, the better your second stint will be.
And Hamilton's got a lot of space in front of him out on track as well at the moment. He'll not be catching any back markers for 3-4 laps at least, so I'd imagine they'll think of pulling him in when he gets up to the back of the two Williams, and Lance Stroll and Giovinazzi's in there as well.
Yeah, he's probably got half a dozen laps at least, I think, till he gets on the end of that particular train. Lewis Hamilton, if he does manage to lead, by the way, from lights to flag, he's never done a start to finish at the Yas Marina before, despite winning 4 times previously. He'll equal Senna's record of 19 races led from start to finish. Sebastian Vettel has a lunge on Valtteri Bottas down the inside, and Bottas has him covered. Saw him coming and made sure that he just kept that silver arrow ahead. But now Sebastian Vettel is right behind Valtteri Bottas. He pulls out from behind the rear wing. He's trying to go wheel to wheel, but he hasn't got DRS to help him. And Valtteri Bottas, even with that straight line speed advantage that Ferrari seem to have, manages to hang on to 5th place.
Yeah, Bottas was out of position then into the chicane, but it's so narrow through there, he was able to maintain track position. And that just shows you, doesn't it? It's the hard tyres on the Ferrari, but they're fresh. They're fresh tyres that were put on lap 12.
Just looking there, Sebastian Vettel, I think his red light was flashing quite a bit as well. And I wonder if he didn't have the extra electrical, the ERS boost, Martin, down that second straight to get past Valtteri Bottas. Kind of used it all up. He's got the boost button on the steering wheel, and he'd have used it all up to make the first attempt at Valtteri Bottas, and then didn't have any to have a go at the second attempt. Normally he'd use DRS. Guess what? He can use DRS from here on in, because it's now been enabled, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, DRS. Nice to have you. Or is it? I don't know. It's been actually quite nice to not have it. See what the difference makes.
Yeah. So Alex Albon then, that's helping him with Hülkenberg staying out on his starting tyres. That's put Albon right on the back of the Ferrari as well. This could get quite spicy, couldn't it? Completely different cars in there, and tyre life as well for good measure.
So here goes Valtteri Bottas with DRS on Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg's looking in his mirrors, he can see him coming, and wisely, I think, lets him go there, because now the Renault is not really fighting against the Mercedes, and the pass was all too easy for Valtteri Bottas, who moves up into 4th place. Just wonder, this lack of DRS, what has it done for Valtteri Bottas's race? Could he have got towards the podium places if it had it right from the start? Well, we'll see how his lap times now improve. He's got some clean air ahead of him. Brand new engine, of course, in that Mercedes. Hence, he was starting at the back of the grid, and he can turn the power up to 11 if he wishes. Lando Norris, by the way, getting past Romain Grosjean. And Grosjean being overtaken by Carlos Sainz as well. So both McLarens are now ahead of the Haas.
Yeah, now the DRS is back. They need to get Hulkenberg in because I think he's overcut Grosjean and the gang. So I think it'll work. Well, there he is.
They're listening to you.
Yeah.
Down at Renault there, very sensible decision. Sebastian Vettel is now released along with Alex Albon as well. Nico Hulkenberg can make his pit stop. So where is Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz? Just coming around the penultimate corner right now. Kevin Magnussen, who's way down. It's the soft compound tyre going on Hulkenberg's Renault.
Medium, wasn't it?
Sorry, medium tyre. Yellow striped medium tyre going on. I'm just looking now to see Norris and Sainz coming through turn one. Will Hulkenberg have overcut the two McLarens? Can he get out ahead of both of them? Norris goes through, Sainz goes through, and Hulkenberg, I think, is just behind Carlos Sainz. He is attacking him into that chicane with Daniel Ricciardo behind his teammates as well. So Hulkenberg comes out in 13th place as Alex Albon gets very close to Sebastian Vettel, and now we'll have DRS on the exit of that chicane and down this back straight to see if he can get past the Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel deploying the electrical energy to keep him ahead of the Red Bull, and now you can see the light blinking as it goes into its soft mode, the state of charge mode, to replenish that battery. So Alex Albon having to stay in 6th place behind Sebastian Vettel. Nico Hulkenberg on fresher tyres has got past Carlos Sainz and up into 12th place, and he's now right behind Lando Norris. Who's not stopped yet? Hamilton and Verstappen out in front. Valtteri Bottas currently 4th fastest.
The only concern I have, the safety car comes out and we have to pit for that hard tyre, and I can't get any temperature into it. We're in trouble.
Yeah, copy, Lewis. We're not concerned. We think everyone will be in the same boat, if not worse.
He's got so much time out there. He's thinking about all the permutations with a 13-second lead.
This is Hulkenberg on Sainz. DRS assisted, late braking into that chicane. See how bumpy it is on that particular part of the track as well. A neat little move there from a man who I'm sure is enjoying himself in this final race so far. So behind Bottas, who hasn't pitted, we wait to see Perez, Magnussen, Raikkonen and Kvyat pit as well. Robert Kubica, who's now up in the 15th place because Romain Grosjean has just pitted, hasn't come in yet. Neither has George Russell, the two Williams starting on the hard compound tyre. Pierre Gasly, who got the tap and lost the front wing from the incident with Lance Stroll and Sergio Perez at the first corner, is still running last of 20 here in Abu Dhabi, the final race of the 2010s. 199th and final race of this decade, and it's Lewis Hamilton who has so far won 72 of the races in this decade, who's out in front and extending that advantage lap after lap after lap. As we look to Danny Kvyat down in 10th place. For 1 second that Kimi Raikkonen was there for the taking, but not to be. We can head down to 10.
Yeah, so that no drag reduction system, the DRS, the movable rear wing flap, really hurt the McLarens, didn't it? It hurt Valtteri Bottas as well, helped Romain Grosjean and helped Nico Hulkenberg. We should probably explain quickly why it is that they couldn't use it properly.
We should. 2 seconds though.
Engine 4.
Why?
Because we need it. MK1 available.
Sebastian Vettel getting instructions that he doesn't really like too much. Yes, why was it disabled?
Did he say no K1 available?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a worry for me. Okay, that's something to do with the MGUK. Anyway, well, because it's all controlled, even though it's a mechanical system, the driver presses a button and the rear wing flap, as Kevin Magnussen pits right in front of me in the second Haas F1 after Romain Grosjean pitted his teammate last time round. Even though it's a mechanical system, it's all controlled by the common electronic control unit, and that itself is controlled by the central electronics hub that run all the systems, all the lighting systems and the the fibre optic systems that go around the track. So if those central systems aren't working, then the drivers can't use what is effectively still a mechanical system to open and close the rear flap.
And the flap is open for Danny Kvyat, trying to dance around the outside of Kimi Räikkönen, who's not into that particular quick step and stays ahead, Martin.
I preferred the racing without the DRS, actually, earlier on. They're certainly moving, closing up. You see that goat track as they go through the middle, coming down the main back straight, not necessarily this one with a discarded rubber. And that gets really deep towards the end of the race. They want to stay away from that.
Kvyat's up to 8th place. I'm kind of with you. I think it actually kept the field bunched up together quite nicely, rather than being able to use it to blast past them away into the distance. But it'll be really interesting after this race to hear from some of the teams as to 18, 19 laps without DRS. How did that affect their race strategy? Not so much for the top two, but for those scrapping away in the midfield.
Well, they certainly had to think on their feet with that one, but interesting now, Vettel is now 3 seconds behind Bottas. We saw him, didn't we, having a run, trying to pass him. So whatever's going on with the Ferrari power unit is not good.
Don't forget, Sebastian Vettel on the hard compound tyre. Valtteri Bottas running the medium at the moment, but Vettel's tyres an awful lot fresher than Valtteri Bottas's. As young Robin Räikkönen watches on at the back of the Alfa Romeo garage and getting an expert commentary there from Mika Salo. See, when your dad's got friends in high places, you get some decent commentary there.
You obviously don't get any earplugs, though, thrown in.
Came into the paddock, this one, marching down the paddock, full of confidence. It was just a replica, young Kimi Räikkönen. It was superb.
Yeah, Beta is a bit more difficult now.
Understood.
I'm not complaining. I'm not saying that I want to come in, but they're a bit more difficult now. I wouldn't mind, you know, get the boys all limbered up. That would be nice. Pit stop soon, please. I think is the underlying message there. And in the last few laps, Lewis Hamilton has extended that lead to Max Verstappen, 13.1 seconds it is now. Renault 5th in the Constructors' Championship. If it stays as it is at the moment, they'll hold off that threat of Toro Rosso, who scored a hatful of points with Pierre Gasly in Brazil, and take 5th by just 4 points by the end of the season. And Carlos Sainz at the moment tied with Pierre Gasly on 95 points, but Alex Albon not scoring enough to overtake either of them. And is this the race leader Lewis Hamilton? Yes, it is, on the back of the Williams of George Russell.
Yeah, they didn't pull him in. They're happy for him to make his way through this traffic.
Oh dear, what's just falling off the Williams there? Has Robert Kubica just had a bit of a moment with a car or a barrier or something, but certainly part of the barge boards on the right hand side of the car just flapping off Robert Kubica's Williams.
You do hit the curbs very hard here.
Yeah. Let's just have a look here. Antonio Giovinazzi getting past Robert Kubica. Do they touch? Oh, they do. The bit came off Giovinazzi's car as well. Can get a better look on board here. Antonio Giovinazzi, of course, who's led a Grand Prix during 2019 in Singapore. Bang.
So the Kubica wasn't upside down there.
Yeah. And Ted, down to you.
Kimi Räikkönen just pitted. Just a thought, if there's debris on the track now and potentially a virtual safety car, that would be a gift for Max Verstappen in his fight with Leclerc. He's not able to overcut Leclerc at the moment, is he? He's not safe, as they say, to Leclerc. So Leclerc will resume second place if and when Verstappen pits. Verstappen's giving it a go, though, but Red Bull would love a safety car or something like it now.
Yeah, lots of debris came off Giovinazzi's Alfa Romeo. I think that got the worst of the contact, but it might have just bounced, Martin, into a safe place, and certainly off the racing line and potentially off the track as well.
Yeah, luckily all of that lot goes in 2021. I'm fed up seeing the cars having a bit of contact and then half of it falls off the side, stuff we can't appreciate. I know they're works of art, I know they're works of genius, the 100 sort of elements of a barge board, but we see so much of that, and then your race is effectively run.
Yeah. So the stewards looking at that incident between Kubica and Giovinazzi. First glance, well, it looks a bit like a racing incident on that one, but we'll see if there's any action going to be taken. Lando Norris under a bit of pressure now from Nico Hülkenberg, who's closed up the gap to him. He's already got past Carlos Sainz since he made his pit stop. Has the Hulk and now has Norris very much in his sights.
So that long run enabled Hülkenberg to have the option of going onto the medium instead of the hards to the end of the race, which may or may not pay dividends. He's in a McLaren sandwich there, isn't he?
He is somewhat. We're at that stage of the race where we're just waiting for things to develop and to evolve. And whilst Hülkenberg might have DRS, he's a bit too far back to have a go at Lando Norris. But we'll just follow this into the next straight. Because if Hülkenberg gets a decent exit here, he is going to be that much closer and with DRS to be able to try and get past Lando Norris, who finished second here, didn't he, in the final F2 race in 2018. Knows what it's like to race at Yas Marina, but not necessarily in a Formula 1 car. He knows how to defend, and he's doing a very good job. Anthony Davidson at race control.
For all the Valtteri Bottas fans out there, just heard from his engineer saying that we're racing Leclerc for third for the end of the race.
Really?
He's very close. He's the fastest car on track at the moment.
He certainly is.
Bottas.
Well, he's the one, Martin, that's got the opportunity to turn that engine up as far as he wants. Oh, look, here goes Giovinazzi on Robert Kubica again. And he's down the inside this time. Here's the Italian. And Antonio Giovinazzi in the Alpha gets past Robert Kubica and up into to 15th place. These are the Alfa Romeos at the moment running, well, Kimi Räikkönen 14th, Giovinazzi 15th. Are they the same team that finished 4th and 5th in Brazil?
Extraordinary, isn't it? Yeah, completely different tracks, bit of altitude as well, of course, back in Brazil, but yeah, those the Alphas and the Haas's have really struggled around here.
I so felt for Romain Grosjean at the end of Brazil, by the way. I got off the plane and was talking to the chief strategist at Haas, and I said, what happened to Grosjean after the safety car restart? He said, we had an MG UK failure, so we had no electrical energy at all.
Box and pick and firm, please, Max. Box, pick and firm.
He's coming in, Max Verstappen, no energy, and we couldn't fight everyone off, and Grosjean was ahead, I think, of Gasly, or certainly of Carlos Sainz at the time of that restart. Right, in comes Max Verstappen. Oh no, Robert Kubica's in the pit lane at the same time, but luckily for Verstappen on this occasion, Kubica's a lot further down the track and they won't be coming out at the same time to hit him, but through goes Charles Leclerc, as you can see. And Leclerc going through turns 1 and 2, so Verstappen will come out behind that Ferrari, which of course pitted an awful lot earlier.
Yeah, Leclerc pitted on lap 12, so that gives him a big advantage, doesn't it, towards the end of the Grand Prix, Max, although the hards don't appear to have been falling away particularly quickly, generally speaking, but Max can really stand on it with ease now.
He certainly can. They just flashed up, by the way.
So Lewis will box.
Just to cover off Max Verstappen. They just flashed up, by the way, turns 11, 12 and 14. Some small debris on the track. I'm not saying that's enough to bring out the safety car, but there's some small debris on the track. Bring out the safety car. Possibly. Stewart's looking at Kubica and Giovinazzi as well.
I mean, Lewis is in a position, and Mercedes are in a position, they can kind of do what they want. It reminds me a bit of some of the Michael Schumacher days, you know. 4 stop and we'll win. 1 stop and we'll win. They could pretty much do what they like.
This should be their only stop of the night. Ted Kravitz, it's all yours. And it doesn't even need to be sub 2 seconds, but that would be nice. They're one of the best crews in the pit lane. So 4 tyres off, 4 tyres on, and it's a little bit tardy, you'd have to say. But we'll get the time when it comes up. 3.2 seconds stationary. Yep, so a little bit steady. But as he passes me, that's fine. He'll have fresh tyres towards the end of the race. So he'll have anything as a response to Max Verstappen. Only 1 lap younger than Max Verstappen, but he's already got the pace on the Red Bull. And the Ferraris. The Ferraris dropping way back, aren't they, as the race goes on. Team radio?
Massive lag out of corners.
Understood, stand by.
Something is not correct.
He said that earlier on in the race as well. The Honda power unit, Verstappen, feeling that all is not well. As Hamilton pits, comes back out into the lead once again. Behind him, Charles Leclerc. Behind Leclerc, there is Max Verstappen. Behind Max Verstappen is Valtteri Bottas. And Valtteri Bottas absolutely flying at the moment. 1:42.9 for his last lap. He has not changed his tyres yet, remember. Safety car now would put Valtteri Bottas very much in the mix, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't for him, but massive lag, did he say, coming out of the corners? Yeah, so turbo lag. He's demanding some power with his right foot. and it's just not responding quickly.
Engine 11, position 8. Engine 11, position 8.
I got a massive handbrake effect as well.
Understood. We're looking at it.
Handbrake effect, a lot of engine braking as he lifts off the throttle into the corners. In the braking phase, turn-in phase.
I'm not saying Valtteri Bottas is going to get a podium, but don't forget Carlos Sainz last time out in Brazil went from the back of the grid to the podium. Needed somebody to get off the podium. That was Lewis Hamilton on that occasion. Not saying that that's going to happen, but Charles Leclerc, of course, is racing under investigation from the stewards.
How come this suddenly is a problem?
We're looking at it, Max. Just calm down for the moment, refocus.
Yeah. Is it a genuine question? No further action, by the way, Kubica and Giovinazzi. Is that a genuine question a driver should ask there? It's been all right, but I'm coming for a pit stop, then suddenly the engine's playing silly things.
Things are always working well until they're not, aren't they? There's a point at home, isn't there? Your kettle boils the water, and all of a sudden it doesn't. I might be oversimplifying that slightly, but yes, and a pit stop can trigger those issues.
You are the most logical man I've ever met. You know that. Right, let's go down to the McLaren pit wall. Zach Brown, how are your nerves at the moment? McLaren, Renault, what a battle you're in here.
It's definitely a good battle. It's close. We're all monitoring each other, and we'll see if we can get these tires to the end.
Is it how much time management's going on, Zach? Are they flat out, or are they thinking the end game, the long game here?
We're pretty on it. I wouldn't say we're flat out yet. We're kind of keying off of what we think Renault's up to, so it's definitely going to be a good fight to the end between us.
And Lando Norris came in first of this quartet. How to the limit is his tyre life from now to the checkered flag?
Well, he'll definitely be a bigger concern than Carlos. He flat spotted his tire early on. That's why he brought in for a change early.
Could be a lot of pressure on very young shoulders here.
It certainly is.
Have you kept an eye on Kvyat, for example? He's going faster than your boys at the moment. He's started on the hard tyres, hasn't pitted. He's got a reasonable pace there ahead of you.
Yeah, I think Kvyat looks good, and Perez is running pretty strong, and by the time they put some new tires on, I presume they'll go to softer tires, medium tires, so they could be pretty strong for their stint.
Yeah, so I can see the steam pouring out of the ears of your strategy guy as we speak. Zach, could be a very interesting end to this race. We might come back to you a little bit later on if that's okay, because we're only on lap 29. Thank you for the time being. And there is this McLaren-Renault battle at the moment. And McLaren taking fourth place in the Constructors' Championship. That was confirmed, of course, after the race in Brazil. Carlos Sainz getting their first podium for 2,072 days. I counted them all up. Very quiet night in between races. Ted Kravitz, down to you.
I just popped down to the Racing Point garage, seeing as Zach Brown was mentioning Sergio Perez. So Sergio, of course, started out of the top 10, didn't he, Crofty? So
well, he qualified outside the top 10, started 10th because of Bottas's penalty. 2 seconds.
It's still pretty poor.
Understood. I'll get back to you.
He's about half a second a lap down on Hamilton at the moment as Max Verstappen.
Not ideal. They still haven't got that engine, whether it's turbo lag programming or energy recovery system programming. They haven't got it aced yet on that Honda power unit, have they? No. By the sounds of Max Verstappen's mid-race complaints, quite frequent, aren't they? But yeah, just quickly on Perez. So start to the medium tyre. Pirelli reckon that can do 35 laps. So we've got, what, 6 more laps now before those start to drop off significantly. And, well, if there was a safety car or something happens now... Oh, are we going to have Toto...
Toto Wolff is not going to do a pit stop, but I think Mercedes are. Bottas is coming in, I think.
What? Push out now. Box.
Why is Toto standing in the front of the garage? You never do that.
Well, he's doing it at the moment. He wants to see the crew at work for one more time. Ted, thanks ever so much. Valtteri Bottas is coming in, and Martin, I think they're trying to do this because there's a gap opened up to get Bottas serviced and out ahead of Sergio Perez.
Yeah, and he is looking on for a chance of a podium, isn't he, Valtteri Bottas there from last place on the grid.
So, one more time then, the pit crew get to work. Oh, that was neat. That was neat indeed. And if they wanted to perform wonders in front of the boss, well, they very much saved the best till last there. What was the stationary time? Is it a sub 2 second? I wonder, as Bottas comes out of the pit lane at 22.1 second for his total pit time lost. I'd love to know what the stationary time was there. I'd rather get the feeling it was close to the 2-second mark. And he is out, clear of Sergio Perez and into a nice little gap. Pierre Gasly is in front of him. He's been lapped. And then he's got Alex Albon just ahead of that. Under the night sky here. Now we're, 6:05 in the evening in Abu Dhabi. Valtteri Bottas back out in 6th place and on fresher tyres to race to the finish. Max Verstappen, meanwhile, chasing Charles Leclerc. He's losing time to Lewis Hamilton, but he's lapping significantly faster than Leclerc.
Yeah, so Bottas has got a chance then.
After the pit stop, something happened. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we may not be able to do too much at this stage. We're looking at it, Max, and we'll update you as and when.
What I have now is the best compromise.
Understood. Keep us posted.
So he's been playing around with the steering wheel settings, engine settings. Sounds like he's found something that's manageable at least. And yeah, Bottas will need almost the drive of his life, I think, but he should have the tyres to go with it. Steam through over the next 25 laps. That's going to be very interesting to watch. And you can't help but feel that Albon and Vettel are exposed to Bottas on fresh tyres. Whether he's got a chance of getting up there with Leclerc and Verstappen remains to be seen.
Yeah, well, Verstappen knows what it's like to be chased down by a Mercedes on fresher tyres. Happened in Hungary. Thank you very much if you voted for that as your moment of the season, by the way. 28% of you did. Maybe Alex Albon is going to get a taste of that as well in their laps to come as we look from the rear wing of Charles Leclerc's Ferrari, and you can see Max Verstappen very, very clearly in that picture. DRS should be available for Verstappen here.
Yeah, just please help me with my response of the engine because it's slowing me down.
They'd love to help him in the grandstand, wouldn't they? The Orange Army here in force. DRS is helping Verstappen, but he's just a bit too far away to make a move into that final chicane. We now enter the section of track where Ferrari has been weak or weaker during the course of this weekend. They've been losing time through these corners. Towards the end of a lap, Verstappen should be all over Leclerc by the time they cross the finish line.
Slowing him down, he'd be mighty without it because he's still right up there. He's very close to Hamilton's times. Out front is Max Verstappen and quicker than anybody else in the field at the moment.
Through to complete another lap. Lap 31 completed for Charles Leclerc and for Max Verstappen, running in second and third, and just half a second between them as they cross the line. Lewis Hamilton, 13.3 seconds, 13.4 seconds now out in front. He can afford to turn his engine down a little bit if he wants and just preserve the life of that Mercedes power unit as Valtteri Bottas going for a fastest lap in this race. Now he's on fresher tyres. I've just noticed his two purple sectors on this lap, and Bottas catching Alex Albon. So George Russell ahead of Charles Leclerc. Russell has been lapped. Leclerc gets DRS, but so does Verstappen. The DRS there for Leclerc as he tries to lap Russell, who keeps out of the way. Verstappen dives down the inside on Charles Leclerc. Leclerc saw him coming. Verstappen broke that fraction later, and he manages to get past the Ferrari. Now, can Charles Leclerc battle back? No. Verstappen is already quite a long way clear. DRS is enabled for the Ferrari. He's going to give it a go, Charles Leclerc, and goes wheel to wheel with Verstappen and comes off worse. As a result, they might have touched going into that chicane, but Verstappen hangs on to second place. Leclerc gave it everything, but he didn't quite have enough.
He's very slow off the previous chicane, but mighty speed the Ferrari had down the straight there. Well, you need to get up a bit earlier in the morning than that to go around the outside of Max Verstappen into that particular chicane. So double DRS, double slipstream against the Williams. Opportunistic there from Verstappen. And as you said, Leclerc saw it coming. And it looked like Max had sort of scampered away, didn't it? But suddenly the Ferrari was back on him again.
So we saw earlier, didn't we, Sebastian Vettel having to recharge his battery on that second straight. I wonder if Max was doing the same thing there, and that's what allowed Leclerc to come back at him. Either way, it was tight, but enjoyable for those in the Red Bull garage who now see their man back up into second place as well. To refresh your memory, if you are just joining this race, and people join the race all the time, don't forget Charles Leclerc and his Ferrari car will be investigated after this race.
It just feels like a massive torque hole in the beginning of my throttle map.
Understood. There's nothing we can do about it, Max. There is nothing we can do about it at this stage. Okay, so we're going to have to live with it. You're quick enough.
Trying to give them the data, trying to give them the feedback.
Yeah.
The team understand and know what the problem is, but they can't fix it. He's doing his best to try and help them do it. Yeah, just to complete that sentence, a fuel irregularity. Ferrari declared a different amount of fuel in Charles Leclerc's car before it left the garage to when it was measured when it did leave the garage. And that's a breach of Technical Directive 1219 and will be looked at after the race and could be big bother for Charles Leclerc.
Max will drive around most of that. He'll be able to anticipate any lag there is. So as we are right now, Valtteri Bottas in P6 is 31 seconds behind Leclerc in P3.
Should we try plan C?
We are looking into it.
Indeed,
Plan
because
C, plan C.
Copy,
Bottas is
understood.
coming at him.
Well, let's look at that last lap. Bottas did a 1:40.9. Charles Leclerc did a 1:44.9. He lost 4 seconds.
He was squabbling, wasn't he, with Verstappen?
Yeah, he was.
But nonetheless, he's still only done a 43.4 in clear air. So they've got to do something. They've got to. If they want a podium against particularly Valtteri Bottas, once again we've got a driver doing all the thinking out there whilst driving the car.
Yeah, give me options. Charles Leclerc, who at this stage will finish 4th in the Drivers' Championship behind Max Verstappen. 4th in the Drivers' Championship in your first season for Ferrari. Probably not what the Scuderia want or the Tifosi want, but it's still a decent season for Charles Leclerc, who, don't forget, has more pole positions than anyone else on the grid this year.
Leclerc already 3.5 seconds behind Verstappen. Then they should have pitted him immediately. They lost that place. They really should have done.
But how many times this season, Martin, have we said Ferrari's strategy just seems to be behind the game a little bit? How many times have Ferrari not quite made the right decision at the right time?
Well, and interesting, it's the driver hustling that, sort of rethinking as well.
Ted, down to you.
Seems to be a bit of inertia in the Ferrari system that means that that happens. But Leclerc will know. Has he not got a set of lapping?
Well, that is Alex Albon lapping Robert Kubica.
Okay, has Leclerc not got a fresh set of soft tyres still left over from yesterday?
Yes, he has.
So he knows that and knows that that's a nice thing to have. Hey, might as well use it. And anyway, we might be headed for some trouble with the stewards afterwards. So I'm with you. Listen, nothing ventured, nothing gained, nothing lost, and it might not count for anything anyway. So go for it, Ferrari.
Come on, move.
2019 version of Sebastian Vettel's greatest hits. Blue flag, blue flag, blue flag. You get 3 warnings, don't you, if you're about to be lapped and needed to get out of the way. And Sebastian Vettel is now clear of Robert Kubica in the Williams. Valtteri Bottas clear of George Russell and now has Robert Kubica just ahead of him. So out in front, it's on lap 35, Lewis Hamilton, nearly 15 seconds clear of Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc is running in 3rd. Sebastian Vettel, his teammate, running in 4th, but behind these come Alex Albon, 5th at the moment for Red Bull, and the flying Valtteri Bottas, who is catching Alex Albon by about 1.5 seconds, maybe 2 seconds a lap. Clears the Williams. Bottas will now be able to see just ahead of him as he comes around the hairpin. Alex Albon behind Bottas. Sergio Perez running 7th for Racing Point ahead of Danny Kvyat. Neither Perez nor Kvyat have stopped in this race so far. Lando Norris still clear of Nico Hülkenberg. Carlos Sainz still ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. And those early pit stops from McLaren and Renault not really helping their race pace at the moment.
Perez doing a good job as well. Still hasn't pitted. And Perez doing a really fine job out there.
So, Ted, down to you.
Just looking at Carlos Sainz, just still thinking about this fight, what I like to call the accountant's fight, Crofty, between Albon, Gasly and Sainz. And Sainz has really hurt him, hasn't he? Hülkenberg's holding him up, I think, with Lando Norris in 9th. Sainz now out of the points in 11th. And I just have the feeling that he feels he could go quicker if he could get past Hülkenberg. But last race for Nico Hülkenberg, he's not going to move from points-paying position, is he?
Well, he could go quicker than Nico Hülkenberg, but Hülkenberg got him. Some clever strategy and managed to overtake him on the fresher tyres as well. The good news for Carlos Sainz is if it stays like this, he will get 6th place in the championship. What just fell off the Ferrari there? Alex Albon kicking it into touch.
Yeah.
literally skigging it into touch, but bouncing clear of the track. A bit of a stray bit of wing or a barge board coming off Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari. Yes, Sainz started this race 11 points clear of Alex Albon, who's currently scoring 10 points at the moment. And even if he got a fastest lap to go with that, Sainz would finish ahead, even if he didn't score points, because he's got a podium, and Alex Albon hasn't. If the scores are level, it goes to a count back on podiums. The tyre performance graphic to show us that Alex Albon has tyres with a lot more performance life in them than Sebastian Vettel's, which you kind of would expect at the moment, both on the hard compound tyre.
Leclerc still has a pit stop advantage over Vettel in 4th place, only just, but he's got that pit stop advantage. It seems a no-brainer to put some fresh tyres on Leclerc's car. He is racing under potential protest or technical issues, as you say. You've always got the concern if somebody starts a race in an illegal state, should it be decided that it is, and then they have a crash with another driver or whatever, it interferes with the business, with the sport, but you can't, you're innocent until proven guilty on that.
Yeah, and you can't delay the start of the race just so that the stewards can look into it before the cars leave the grid. And I say Albon, unsurprisingly with better tyre performance life than Sebastian Vettel. Well, the Ferrari's been sliding around throughout that final sector all weekend long, and the Red Bull a lot more solid, not sliding around so much, not wearing out the tyres quite as much as well. F1 Insights powered by AWS and giving us that performance life. With our very own eyes, we can see Valtteri Bottas in pursuit.
So I'll shut up. You know what to do with the strap modes.
Bottas knows what to do. He can now, as he makes that left-hand turn, he can now see Alex Albon very close to him. He can see Sebastian Vettel just ahead as well. Very long straight this. I don't know if he's got DRS assistance at this particular moment, but he is certainly catching that Red Bull. The trouble he's got is that he's not catching him through the final sector as much as he would say the Ferrari, and that's not keeping him in touch for when the DRS zones come into play.
Yeah, and Ferrari will be watching this very closely as well to see how quickly, indeed, if at all, Bottas can clear these two.
Still on plan A, still on plan A. Copy.
Yeah, no point bringing Sebastian Vettel in at the moment unless he absolutely needs it.
Yeah, because if Bottas takes a while to get past these two, that'll free Leclerc up. And then they wouldn't necessarily need then to take that pit stop. How far out would you put a brand new set of soft tyres on? 15 laps out?
Yeah, we'd probably say 20 laps in terms of tyre life. You've got to give him enough chance to overtake if he can manage to do it. Kevin Magnussen, meanwhile, ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, but for how much longer I would wonder. Raikkonen is catching Magnussen and decides against going for the overtake into that chicane, because he knows Kimi Raikkonen, 312th Grand Prix, second most experienced Grand Prix driver of all time. He knows he's got another DRS zone coming and another chance to get that much closer and get the overtake done. So Kevin Magnussen stays ahead, though. The two Ferrari-powered cars, the Haas being that much quicker.
Also got the leader behind him.
Think about pitting.
Okay, we have anything.
Sebastian Vettel thinking about pitting. I'll tell you who is pitting. Sergio Perez for Racing Point. And Danny Kvyat is the only driver out there. And Kvyat on the hard compound tyre hasn't pitted. Vettel would come out in free air, I think, if he were to pit now. Whether he knows that or not, I'm not sure. As Perez makes his stop. 2.9 second stop for the Racing Point car, and he'll come out behind the Carlos Sainz Ricardo Hulkenberg Norris battle and outside of the points.
You do sense that the word Ted used was inertia. You do sense Ferrari lack a bit of confidence at the moment. They lack a bit of crisp thinking.
Well, we wondered if Leclerc should be pitting a while ago.
And mode box, mode box.
Here's the answer. He's going to pit right now, and he should be able to pit and come back out ahead of his teammate Sebastian Vettel. Soft tyres going on. There are 16 laps to go between now and the end of the race. They're going to double stack again at Ferrari, aren't they? Because they're still waiting there for Sebastian Vettel. So where's Valtteri Bottas? Because that's the race, isn't it? Bottas and Leclerc. Vettel is definitely pitting again. Medium tyres going on for Sebastian Vettel. Had a new set of medium tyres going into this race. Nice shiny new set. And Leclerc comes out ahead of Albon and ahead of Bottas, but on the soft tyres, which should give him enough pace to stay away from the Red Bull and the Mercedes. For Sebastian Vettel, meanwhile, not that luxury, and he's going to come out quite a way behind Bottas and Albon, down in 6th place. So both Albon and Bottas move up, courtesy of that extra Ferrari pit stop. And Leclerc ahead, Bottas getting closer to Albon now. And Albon, who came a cropper in a wheel-to-wheel battle with the Mercedes in Brazil. Now, Valtteri Bottas on this occasion manages to get past the Red Bull without any fear of contact whatsoever. And he'll go through onto the next straight. DRS now as he's trying to break the toe, Valtteri Bottas for Alex Albon. He's fighting back, but Bottas stays ahead.
Big risk of a puncture over there, but we've seen Valtteri use that tactic. That's the second time now tonight I've seen it, where he tried to say break the toe on the extreme left hand, the slightly shorter side of the track, but you scrub a bit of speed to get over there and you make those little left kinks a bit more of an angle.
So Valtteri Bottas then up into 4th place, and Ferrari just covered him off there by pitting Charles Leclerc again. That covered off the threat of Valtteri Bottas, because Leclerc on the fresher tyres is ahead and should be able to extend that advantage over the next few laps.
The engine braking is a bit inconsistent, but there is less lag on throttle. Both Ferraris on a 2-stop. I could hear it behind you.
He's having a chat with Gianpiero Lambiasi, his race engineer. And whilst he's chatting away, he can hear the Ferrari wheel guns. And obviously it's been going on a while. It's like, is that 1 or 2? It's either a really slow stop or they've double stacked again.
He's not got enough to do, has he, out there? Listening to who else is pit stopping while his engineer's talking to him.
Nothing gets past these drivers.
You need to check the spark plug on the 6th cylinder of that of Leclerc's car, if I were you.
Oh dear. I'm not sure what conversations are going on between Lewis Hamilton and Pete Bonington at the moment. Something like, Bono, tell me, what do I need to be worried about? Is everything okay? Where should we go for dinner later tonight? I know
fries with that burger, or
I know a really good vegan restaurant somewhere down on the Corniche. Anthony, if you're listening to the radio conversation, what's going on there?
Well, I have been. It's not that exciting, to be honest. I haven't been begging to come in, but to fit in with your conversation, they've actually been telling him, yeah, you might want to speed up a little bit, mate. Your tyre temperatures are getting a little bit low. And he's like, no, I'm okay. The grip's good. And actually, Verstappen was saying exactly the same thing to his engineer.
Yeah, you might want to use 4th gear at the moment, Lewis. I mean, you are a long way clear.
Fresh tyres with Perez.
Yeah,
he's earned this right now to come through this foursome of Norris, Hülkenberg, Sainz, and he's already done Ricciardo.
Well, Zach Brown said, we've got to watch out for Sergio Perez in this one as well. Ricciardo's going to come back at Perez, who just moves over to cover off any threat down the inside, and wisely so on that occasion. Perez with the beautiful right boot control out of the slower speed corners that really protects the rear tyres. He's very good at that, very good at long stints as well, and as you say, by doing that tonight, has earned this attack at the end. Yeah,
it's a great first stint. We mentioned it a couple of times, and his tyres are 27 laps younger.
So stand by Carlos Sainz, who is in the points at the moment, but Sergio Perez is coming for you in 11th place and wants to get into the top 10 himself. The top 10 where Lewis Hamilton has been for the last 32 races. As Danny Kvyat finally pits, if Hamilton gets in to the top 10, and he's leading at the moment tonight, that'll be a record equaling 33rd consecutive points finish. I mentioned about half an hour before the start of the race, Master, if it wasn't for the fuel pressure problem in Austria, this would be Lewis going for a 67th consecutive points finish this evening. And yes, it all goes down to 10th place now, but that is amazing consistency.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
Both the car and driver, to be fair.
It might be a good moment to stop if you're not sure of what's running.
Copy.
Yeah, I've seen Perez homing in on him very quickly.
So Carlos Sainz wanting to come in there, and is that to guard against Danny Kvyat, I wonder, who just stopped? Ted, down to you.
He needs to keep in mind these points he needs for the Drivers' Championship, doesn't he, Carlos Sainz? But it was a long time ago that he pitted.
Yeah.
We'll see what McLaren do. Just a quick one on Valtteri Bottas. Looks like that second stop for the Ferraris might make it difficult for the Mercedes to make the podium, and for us to settle our little competition, Crofty. If you remember back to free practice 1, I think I was saying, no problem, Valtteri Bottas make it to the podium. You were more sceptical. Looks like you're right again.
Yeah, I'm in Nico Rosberg's camp on this one. He didn't think Valtteri could do it either. I'm staying with a champ, Ted, on this particular occasion. That could be a really mature call by Carlos Sainz if they come in, and they do come in as well, thinking about his tyres, thinking that they're not going to get to the end of this race. They're going to go off quite dramatically. If you want me in the points, get me in now, so I've got a chance to do something about it.
It's a gamble in a way to regain the 22 seconds and then get your track position back when we've only got a dozen or 13 laps, including this one, to go. But let's see. Let's hope that pays off for him.
He'll come out behind Max Verstappen, so he's been lapped by the top 2 in this race, but more importantly by Kevin Magnussen as well. So he's down in 14th, not scoring points at the moment. He started out 11 points clear of Alex Albon in 6th place, level on points with Pierre Gasly. Gasly's running last at the moment, has been all race, and Albon only getting 10 points.
Recommend in Strat 7, this race is not over. The tyre might drop.
As it stands at the moment. So do Mercedes think that Charles Leclerc, whilst he's going a lot faster at the moment, might hit a cliff in the last 2 or 3 laps?
No, he'll have done 17 laps on the tyres. Hülkenberg did 18 laps, remembering that's with full fuel at the beginning of the Grand Prix. So I tend to think Leclerc should be all right. Well,
there is Charles Leclerc. Down the back straight. Valtteri Bottas can certainly see him, but he's a long way clear. As the track temperature drops, and it does, because obviously we're at night time here, there's no sun baking the tarmac at all, that should help these soft tyres, you would have thought. But as you said yesterday, it's all a bit of voodoo on these tyres as well, and it's whether the Ferrari, because it's sliding around through these sort of corners, so the chicanes and then some of the high-speed corners, whether the Ferrari can preserve the wear life. Danny Ricciardo's going for Renault as well. Soft tyres going on for him. Meanwhile, his teammate, Nico Hülkenberg, staying out and still hunting after Lando Norris, but Hülkenberg now behind Carlos Sainz.
They give it full beans, don't they? Full beans when they're sitting there waiting for the pit stop now. You don't know, you mustn't blip the throttle because the car will rock. But they certainly all now give it a lot of revs. Ted's down there. What can you tell us, Ted?
I like this. Everyone's getting fighty now with another pit stop, second pit stop. Daniel Ricciardo thinking that he might as well do what Carlos Sainz is doing. I think Lando Norris also wants to do that, but is being told no by his team to stay out there and stick to the one stopper. It's working for them. And
I just wonder if he's going to be able to hold on. I really do, as Sainz gets past Magnussen. Yeah. Hülkenberg stopped that much later than Lando Norris. I think that they're giving him a very tall order.
So Sainz just needs to get up to P9, doesn't he, to be sure of this P6 in the Drivers' Championship?
Yeah, to be honest, if one of the top 4 retire from this race, that puts Alex Albon back in the pole position again for P6 in the Championship. As it stands at the moment, Sainz is okay, because he might not be scoring, but neither is Gasly, and Albon's not scoring enough. He likes that back straight Carlos Sainz. I went for a hot lap with him on Thursday evening, and I said, go on, get 280 kilometres an hour if you can. And he did, 285 kilometres an hour. He was a very good boy, and then rather missed his braking zone. The brakes went on. My helmet, which was a bit too big for me, slid down, Martin. By the time I lifted it back up again, we are well into the runoff area, and we're both giggling like school children.
Yeah, come around with me, Crofty. But and then the brakes caught fire, I believe, at the end of it.
Yes, we rather stamped on them again just to make sure. Love these hot laps this year. It's been good to do some filming with some of the drivers and just to see them in a normal sports car and appreciate the control that they have. And not just the current drivers, you've been scaring people left, right and centre on many a track throughout the season.
I loved it. So that's Norris in 7th then, being lapped by the Mercedes. And that tells you everything you need to know about Mercedes' performance this afternoon.
Quiet, and that's Perez not lapping Nico Hülkenberg, but trying to get past him. Perez is charging his way through the field here and has got DRS, as you can see from the on-screen graphic now. Does that straight go on long enough for Perez to make a lunge down the inside? He's thinking about it. Oh, and he's a bit unstable under braking, so he left it as late as he possibly could. And he's just going to get a bit frustrated and stick behind Hülkenberg for a little while longer as they bypass all the yachts and the parties that are in full swing around the marina area. Like Monaco, there's a lot of very fancy boats on show there, and one that looks like it's been dredged from the Thames, quite frankly. It looks like a Thames tourist boat. Looks very out of place.
They're just going ever faster on this lap as well, for good measure. He's just playing around at the front, isn't it? That's the sort of dominance of 40 flat for him. That's not the fastest lap of the race. That's Valtteri Bottas at the moment, but it just this reminds me a little bit more of the early days of the hybrid era, when Mercedes had everything covered.
Well, that fastest lap of Valtteri Bottas, the 1:39.7, is a race lap record here, beating Sebastian Vettel's 1:40.2 from 2009. If Lewis Hamilton can get a fastest lap, he's on for a 6th Grand Slam win, a win, pole, fastest lap, and led every lap. That'll put him 2 behind Jim Clark in that particular category, as here goes Perez on Nico Hülkenberg again, but he's a bit too far behind to make a move, you would have thought. Although he's getting a lot closer, and that DRS really is quite powerful, and Perez is going to go for it. Late braking into the chicane, Sergio Perez this time around. Nice and clean, gets past Nico Hülkenberg and up into 8th place. Hülkenberg has now got DRS though, and a slipstream, and he's going to try and fight back. Perez tries to push him to the right-hand side as much as he can, while still leaving a car's width to make it very difficult, and he did just that.
You were talking about one of the top 4 dropping out with reliability or something, but of course if Leclerc does have a technical issue, true, that puts Albon up into 4th, which for that fight we've got going on with Sainz 6th place could be quite telling.
Which wouldn't be a bad finish for Alex Albon, given he had the majority of his races this season, of course, racing for Toro Rosso in their last season in Formula One, before they become Alpha Tauri.
I must say,
did half like that in the Racing Point garage.
Yeah, I must say, I didn't think that Racing Point was going to stop.
No.
Clearly, Sergio Perez did.
And luckily, he's the one behind the wheel. Zach Brown, let's go to you for one last little chat down on the McLaren pit wall. Lando Norris, does he want to come in? Does he want to make a pit stop? Is it worth it?
No, I think Lando's in a good spot. We haven't just looked at Carlos's tires. We think Lando can get to the end.
Excellent. And as for Carlos Sainz, well, that 6th place is his at the moment, but it's hanging by a thread because he's not in the points.
Yeah, he's got to he's push. Every lap's a qualifying lap, so we'll see. I think it's going to be a bit tight to the end.
Zach, thank you very much. It's been lovely having you with us for this year. It's great to have your insight down on the pit wall.
I thank you guys, all the McLaren fans. It's been a great year, and all the Sky F1 viewers, and hi to Tracy McGuire Maxwell at home, and get well, Frankie.
I didn't realise this was a request hour, but you've earned that, Zach Brown. It's been a very good season indeed. Well done. McLaren up into 4th place. We're watching Nico Hülkenberg and Danny Kvyat really going for it here. Danny Kvyat down the inside on Nico Hülkenberg, and they were going one way and then the other. And Kvyat showing some very, very calm racecraft there to get past the Renault.
Yeah, quite well. His front left wing fence was scraping along the ground. I'm not entirely sure. But he put those tyres on lap 40. I don't know if that's had a little nerf somewhere, the front wing, but so really fresh tyres. And like Perez, another man who's earned the right to plenty of grip in the closing stages.
Absolutely. Luckily for Kvyat, on that occasion, no contact made. He lost points places in Mexico and in Austin as well with a last lap collision, but that was fine, wasn't it?
I think what it is when they open the DRS, it moves the aero balance forward, and so clearly the front wing's just that little bit lower. because you're dumping rear downforce.
Oh dear, Ted Kravitz, second race running. Lance Stroll is out.
Yeah, right in front of me. It's just down here at Racing Point, looking at what Sergio Perez was doing. They cleared a space in the garage for Lance Stroll. He's had a couple of pit stops after that early clash, didn't he, between Pierre Gasly and cannoning into his teammate Sergio Perez. But yeah, Gasly coming off the worst, and now Stroll coming off the worst. And that he was on the soft tyres, was going to the end. Yeah, an unfortunate, disappointing end to Lance's 2019 season.
Yeah, he was on for points in Brazil as well, but ran over debris from the Ferrari incidents, and that cost him dear as we watch Lando Norris defending against Sergio Perez and head to race control. And Anthony.
Yeah, so they've just come on the radio to Norris. This is probably it.
We have nothing to lose, so let's use this tyre if we need to.
Yeah, so just what I was going to say. So they've seen the tyre that's come off of Carlos Sainz, and they've realised that there's a bit more energy left in those tyres, and they're now telling Norris, just use them all, nothing to lose, but this is going to be a tight one towards the end of the race. Perez is on a charge with fresher tyres.
Isn't he just? Kind of driving through the wear, as I think the Fiat's gone a bit wide there, as we saw. Driving through the wear, Martin, and it will come back to you again, the tyre performance. Ricciardo on Magnussen. Getting past 13th place now for Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, they've got a very few laps to get the job done, haven't they? Daniel Ricciardo in particular, but Carlos Sainz as well to get back into the points. Sainz got to get 10 seconds now. He should be able to do that to get up to Hulkenberg. But Kvyat's going well inside the top 10 with those fresh tyres. Yeah, you have to say they've driven extremely well to give themselves that extra grip.
Out in front, we haven't really mentioned the top two for a while. Still Hamilton from Verstappen, 17 seconds separating the top two. Charles Leclerc in a world of his own in third at the moment and racing under investigation by the stewards for discrepancies, significant discrepancies, say the FIA, in the fuel declared and the fuel that is being used in this race. We'll bring you news of that after the race is finished. Valtteri Bottas with the fastest lap at the moment from the back of the grid is running in fourth ahead of Alex Albon. Top five once again, it looks like, for the second Red Bull. Sebastian Vettel down in sixth place, and after that it's Lando Norris.
Okay, Lando, just give it everything now, mate. We want to race Perez to the end. Give it everything. 43.3 last time was a really good lap.
Yep. Lando Norris giving him absolutely everything. Sergio Perez behind him. Danny Kvyat on fresh tyres as well. He's got past Nico Hulkenberg and he's locking up a lot. We saw that just a few moments ago, didn't we? Well, he was almost into your hotel room there, Martin.
He didn't bother with the next corner, did he?
What? Is that gaining an advantage by leaving the track?
To come back on the track at an earlier point than that.
He could have helped himself to your minibar. He was that far into the runoff area.
I wonder if Vettel still fancies a bit of a run at Alex Albon. He's coming back at him a bit. Albon's tyres clearly hurting. He's back into the 142s at the moment. They are running in clear air as well.
And Anthony, somewhere in Abu Dhabi tonight, Mercedes will be painting the town silver, apparently, with their championship celebrations. Is it party time for Valtteri Bottas already?
Well, yeah, they've just come on the radio telling him to go to strap 2. They are giving this absolutely everything. For those of you who know, that's their qualifying mode, usually. So, yeah, they've basically given him the chance to really take this fight to Charles Leclerc, and his last lap was, in fact, faster. So, yeah, it's game on. He's got that new power unit, why not?
By lap 50 of this race, I've just realised as well, Pierre Gasly was second, wasn't he, in Brazil? Carlos Sainz was third. So if it stays Sainz 11th and Gasly down at 18th, Gasly will take sixth place in the championship, because on that countback he's got a second ahead of Carlos Sainz in third. So McLaren fans will be really rooting for Carlos Sainz here, who is currently 5.2 seconds behind Nico Hulkenberg and lapped on that last lap, Martin, about 3 seconds faster.
Yeah, it's all going to kick off in the last few laps.
I'm trying to make that sound exciting. It might be a little less exciting when he gets there.
Well, let's see. Lewis Hamilton in his 250th Grand Prix.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost any speed or appetite, has he?
The boy who raced around the outside of Fernando Alonso into the first turn, Melbourne in 2007, has become the man with 6 world championships, who dominates races more often than not. You do, though, have to go back to France. The last time this season Lewis Hamilton won from pole position. He's won 8 times, not from pole, which I think is a record by any driver in a Formula 1 season. Look at this, Bottas within striking distance of Charles Leclerc on the final lap. Hold on to the edge of your seats here. Valtteri Bottas might yet get a podium in this race. Nico Rosberg and I thought no. Ted Kravitz thought yes. We'll see who's right by the end of it. And Sergio Perez is going to have a go at Lando Norris right here, right now, because he should get DRS. As we approach the closing stages of the final race of this decade, Lando Norris, who was what, 10 years old, 9 years old when we started out in 2010, is racing for points against Sergio Perez at the moment.
Perez will get DRS as well down this next straight. Could get pretty feisty down into the chicane, but great exit there, great release off the chicane by Norris.
Norris is giving it absolutely everything. We've seen a lot of good defensive work from many, many stages in this season, and he keeps ahead of Sergio Perez once more. Now, can Perez pick his spot through the final sector? Is there a spot to be had? Is Norris safe for the time being? Verstappen still at 17 seconds or so behind Lewis Hamilton. Leclerc now only 4.2 seconds clear of Valtteri Bottas, who was once again significantly quicker on that previous lap, half a second quicker on this lap so far.
And look at Vettel now 3.6 behind Albon.
So, like the accordion that has been slowly extending itself, it is now concertinaing together, and it's producing some pretty good tunes between now and the checkered flag. Norris battling, Albon aware of Vettel, Leclerc aware of Bottas, Hamilton surely aware that he's on for a 50th win from pole.
And Bottas behind at 4.4. We think with this pace he'll catch us at 2 laps to go.
Ferrari say 2 laps to go. We were thinking the last lap as well. Hamilton has just turned up the engine mode. I think he's going for a fastest lap once again.
But we do know with Leclerc, he talks like a choir boy and fights in the car like he's got razor blades on his elbows.
He knows how to get his elbows out, metaphorically, doesn't he? Comes into this race, of course, after clashing with his teammate in Brazil last time out. Really disappointing day for Ferrari that was. Massive damage and punctures caused by a fairly innocuous little love tap. Both Leclerc and Vettel out of the race. Bottas will get a helping hand and a heap of DRS assistance here as he tries to lap Kevin Magnussen. There is Charles Leclerc right ahead of him. Magnussen pulls out of the way. Bottas has got his engine turned up to full party mode.
He was feeling really ill earlier on in the week, wasn't he? Yep. I went to shake his hand. He's like, don't shake my hand. We did that curious fist bump thing you do these days. But yeah, he was really sick and didn't want to be giving that to anybody else.
3 laps to go. He's not been feeling 100%, but he is giving it 110%. Is Valtteri Bottas. His teammate Lewis Hamilton, who will score his highest ever single season points total in 2019. Previous best was 408 points last season, wasn't it? He's on to beat that at the moment with another commanding performance here in Abu Dhabi, a track that he absolutely loves, that he's won at on 4 previous occasions. Could have been 5. He retired from the lead in 2012, I think it was, for Lewis Hamilton. He's just never looked troubled out in front tonight.
Leclerc then was fairly beautifully lit up through those last 2 corners. He was hustling nicely now and into the 41s.
Man, he's not moving. He can't race the car ahead when I'm so close.
Yeah.
No, Max Verstappen not overly amused here. Trying to look to see where he is at the moment. It's Sergio Perez, I think, who was moving a bit. Verstappen's now put himself in between Norris and Perez by lapping them. That might help Lando Norris out for a little bit. Ted, down to you.
Yeah, if you're a Carlos Sainz fan, or one of Carlos Sainz's family, or even Carlos Sainz, these are nervous times, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because he's not getting through the pack quicker than McLaren would have hoped.
Yeah, but he is on the cusp of doing it, you know.
No, but he's going between 1.2 seconds behind Hulkenberg and 0.8. I know he's on the cusp, but Oh, I'm starting to get nervous. And if he doesn't get past Hulkenberg, he's lost P6 in the championship, Drivers' Championship, hasn't he?
He needs a point. Sebastian Vettel on Alex Albon. Down into the chicane. Albon's got the inside line. Sebastian Vettel has to jump on the brakes, otherwise he was right into the side of the Red Bull there. But in doing so, Vettel prepared himself very nicely indeed to get the exit, and with DRS to move alongside Albon down that back straight. He goes round the outside, and Sebastian Vettel moves into 5th place, pushes Albon down into 6th. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz, trying to get at Nico Hulkenberg, has now got Daniel Ricciardo right behind him as well. Sainz is in all sorts of bother at the moment as he scraps away to try and get 6th place in the Drivers' Championship. His teammate, Lando Norris, has now been lapped by Max Verstappen. He's got to go back to defending now against Sergio Perez. And oh, guess what? Lewis Hamilton set a new lap record and the fastest lap of this race.
Yeah, he would have crashed into me if I hadn't opened the door. I mean, that's borderline.
Confident?
Concur, Martin?
No, I thought it was important for Alex Albon to come to fight hard on that one. I didn't see anything wrong there, and they saw him coming. It wasn't a leery big lock-up and a out-of-control slide. It just came back at him. I don't see anything wrong at all.
Here goes Sergio Perez. Could be one of his last chances to get past Lando Norris. Norris once again making him go the long way round the outside, and that's the clever way to defend into that corner, and Norris keeps himself ahead. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz is battling back and trying to scrap back at Nico Hulkenberg, and Daniel Ricciardo is right there in that fight as well. Sainz needs one more point as our race leader, Lewis Hamilton, goes into the final lap. Sainz needs a point to get 6th place in the championship. Hamilton at the moment is on course for 26 points in this race and an 11th race win of the season, which will tie his best ever total from 2014 and from last year as well. The championship and the night belonging to Lewis Hamilton, but there are some great battles going on behind him. Lando Norris for one more lap then this season leads Sergio Perez. This the fight for 7th place. Carlos Sainz has Daniel Ricciardo right up his rear wing going into turn 1, but crucially for Sainz, Hulkenberg ahead of him. Bottas has got to within about a second and a half of Charles Leclerc, but as it stands at the moment, Charles Leclerc is holding on to 3rd place. Don't forget that steward's inquiry, of course, could yet see Leclerc out of this race, could yet see Carlos Sainz into the points. Surely not 2 races running. Sainz gets the benefit of someone dropping out ahead of him to get points in a race. We shall see.
Bottas might just get DRS here as well, but he is a long way behind. He'll need some kind of traction out of there, but he will get DRS. He might get another chance then in the 2nd straight. Let's see, does it open?
No, not at this moment in time, it doesn't.
Quite. He wasn't quite within the 1 second.
Meanwhile, his teammate is coming into the final couple of corners of yet another championship winning season. Lewis Hamilton has led every single lap of this race, had pole, has the fastest lap as well. It is Lewis Hamilton winning in Abu Dhabi to cap a championship winning season in 2019. Hamilton was absolutely immaculate for 55 laps.
Sainz has passed Hulkenberg out there as well, for good measure.
And Perez has got past Lando Norris as well. Sergio Perez getting Lando Norris on the final lap. Can Valtteri Bottas put himself onto the podium? Max Verstappen has come home in 2nd place, some 16.5 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Now Valtteri Bottas with just 2 more corners to go from the back of the grid, trying to get past Charles Leclerc. Leclerc will be off to see the stewards once he's reached the checkered flag. Charles Leclerc for the time being, 3rd here in Abu Dhabi. Valtteri Bottas finishes 4th. Behind these 2 will come Sebastian Vettel and Alex Albon, and the midfield scrap that is going on sees Lando Norris beaten on the final lap by Sergio Perez. Danny Kvyat got ahead of Carlos Sainz and into the points. Ricciardo and Hulkenberg finishing out of the points for Renault. And there is Lewis Hamilton celebrating another victory.
Get in there, Lewis. What an amazing drive, champ. Huh? That was just absolute masterclass. Looks like you didn't even break into a sweat with that, mate.
I can assure you I am sweating. But, wow, guys, what a race, what a weekend. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's here, back home. And I got to say, this one's for the fans.
Car number 44, celebrating victory. And if he looks up, the fireworks illuminating the night sky. It's a win number 84 for Lewis Hamilton. Next season, 22 races, 2 new events as well. We return back to Zandvoort for the first time in a long, long while, and we say hello to Hanoi for the first time in Formula One. Don't worry if you're thinking, what do I do over the winter? It's such a long time without Formula One. There's only 104 days to go, and so Martin and I will be alongside you for first practice in Melbourne.
Bit of winter testing as well. 2 lots of 6 days happening on board in Barcelona. So, yeah, we'll have a look at some of that, and we'll be getting on a plane to Melbourne before we know it.
Yeah, the winter break seems such a long one many, many years ago, but 104 days, we can cope with that. A few classic.
December the 1st today. Apparently the last time we had a December date in Formula 1 was 1963.
It was. Jim Clark winning his title in East London. Not the Boleyn, but East London in South Africa.
And Nico, just a word. Thanks very much. It's been a great 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Slady. I wish I could say the same, mate.
Perfect.
Just pulling your leg, mate. Thank you for everything.
177 races, and for the time being, over and out. For Nico Hülkenberg, I wish we'd have seen him on the podium. I really do. He deserved that. Pole position, of course, in Brazil. Driver of the day today as well. There's some consolation for him, but
yeah,
would have loved to have seen that man on the podium.
He was in the World Championship points until the last lap. He ended up 12th.
Carlos Sainz then will take that 6th place in the championship, and down below the fans on the grid, donut time. Don't need those gearboxes, don't need those engines. The drivers can celebrate in the style that we all love. Verstappen and Hamilton doing donuts on the grid, and to be joined down there by Charles Leclerc as well. These 3, Martin Brundle, if anything is going to keep us salivating like Pavlov's dog over the winter period, it'll be the prospect of these 3 scrapping it out next season.
Yeah, the 2 pretenders to the throne. King Lewis still there.
Lewis Hamilton, champion for a 6th time, 11 race wins in 2019, and this one of his more commanding performances. He finishes the season on 413 points, his highest points total, and a little pat on the nose to Old Faithful, the chassis that has served him so well. And now the pressure's off, the racing is done, and he can enjoy another Christmas reflecting on what was and what needs to be celebrated.
I'd imagine it got pretty hot doing the donuts.
Yeah, they don't need a car for next year. That's fine.
Got the engine revs and no air going through the side pod.
Max Verstappen, oh, he gave it his best in this race, but was hampered by engine problems a lot through the course of it. Couldn't really get close to Hamilton. Leclerc will be off to see the stewards because of that significant discrepancy in what fuel was declared and what fuel was in the car when it left the garage. We'll see if there's been a breach of Technical Directive 1219, which doesn't sound very sexy at all, but it could be, as Christian Horner said to you on the grid, Martin, bad news for Ferrari, that one. David Coulthard is down on the grid to talk to the drivers.
So, Lewis Hamilton, congratulations, your 11th victory of the season. That looked one of your most dominant. You must be very proud.
Honestly, I'm proud, definitely, but just super grateful for this incredible team, to all at Mercedes who have continued to push this year. Who would have thought at the end of the year we would have this strength in the race? And even though we had the championship won, just really wanted to keep our head down and try to see if we could learn and if we could extend and extract more from this beautiful car that they've worked, you know, it's a piece of art. And I'm also so grateful to Team LH. I travel around the world to 21 different countries, probably even more, and I get to see people who continuously inspire me and send me messages and lift me up. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone that's here, everyone that's back home. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Yeah, I feel so happy with today, man.
Now, that has been a great season, and I know you're in that moment, but you've got in the podium with you two young guys, two young Chargers. They've thrown some big races at you this year, but this is a great way for you to end the season with such a dominant victory. These guys have still got a lot of work to do.
I mean, these guys, there's a lot of youngsters coming through. If you look at the grid, for example, I think that from second to like seventh or eighth was all super youngsters. So, you know, really proud to be in a period of time where there is such great young people coming through. These guys have been doing a phenomenal job, and I really feel privileged to be in the period of time where they're here, and I'm looking forward to hopefully more close battles with us in the future. So I hope it gets close for us next year.
Okay, just when I quickly move on though, what do you got planned for the winter?
Just family time, man.
Okay, enjoy your family time. So, Max Verstappen, congratulations. It's been a pretty good season for you. 3 victories, 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. Today, that was the best you could hope for. You had some issues, though, didn't you? We heard you on the radio. You were having to manage some issues.
Yeah, a few little things. I mean, at the end of the day, it wouldn't have made a difference in terms of position. But, yeah, we had to do a bit of a different strategy to Ferrari, of course. They pitted quite early. We went long because they overtook us in the first lap. But after that, I think our pace was quite decent, just Mercedes and Lewis today. They were a bit too quick. But overall, as a whole, I think it's been a positive season. And, of course, to be P3 in the championship is a nice ending.
So Lewis said he's going to be spending family time in the winter. I guess you've got a sight on the World Championship. So you'll be at the factory, you'll be on the simulator, you'll be working hard.
We are all, I think, working hard, but it's also good to take some time off and be with family and friends, and then be fully recharged for next year and, yeah, come back stronger.
Max, congratulations. We've got Charles and Lewis sharing notes here. Didn't want to interrupt you, gentlemen. What are you discussing? Just the way the race played out?
Yeah, just overall how quick he was today during the race. I mean, with the hard, I think he did 39.2. So, yeah, I was just saying congratulations to him.
Now, 3rd place, it's another podium. It's been a great year, first year for you at Ferrari. I know you guys all want to win, but you have to be satisfied. You're the first teammate to finish in front of Sebastian in the World Championship in his time at Ferrari, so it's been very positive for you.
Yeah, I'm extremely happy about this year. I've learned a huge amount thanks to Seb, and yeah, it's been a great year for me. A realization of a dream since child. I've always dreamed to be in Formula 1, but especially with Ferrari, and to be now with this team is unbelievable. Now it's up to me to work to get better and hopefully give them the success they deserve.
Charles, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Formula 1 2019, a fantastic season of racing. Join us again for the 70th year in Melbourne in March.
13th of May 1950, the first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix in the World Championship. Excuse me, run at Silverstone. Yeah, we're going to celebrate 70 years with 22 races for next season. But that's all about next season. Time to reflect on this year for a while, and fitting that the man who was consistent, the team that dominated this year, not as much as they've maybe dominated in previous years, came and took the last race of the year.
Yeah, Lewis finished 87 points clear of his teammate in the end. Max Verstappen with a solid 3rd in the World Championship. That's a good effort. As you pointed out, Sainz 6th and best of the rest after the top 3 teams.
Mercedes 235 points clear of Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship as well. They do fireworks very well in Abu Dhabi at the end of a race. This year, no difference whatsoever. Toto Wolff, after taking a race off in Brazil, back to just make sure that we win the last one, chaps. As the fireworks went off, then the celebrations could really start for Lewis Hamilton. Donuts on the grid, which has now become traditional at the last race. Let's finish it off with donuts.
There's a lot of testing coming up next week, actually, as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And George Russell gets 3 days in the Mercedes. the Williams driver.
Yeah, interestingly, George Russell and Valtteri Bottas, exactly the same program, I think, in the Mercedes car for that Pirelli test next week here in Abu Dhabi. There goes Lewis Hamilton off, walking through the Ferrari garage. He's walking down by the side of the Ferrari garage.
They always have a gap, don't they, Ferrari, where they keep their tyres. They don't like you walking down there normally. It's a quick way to get from the paddock to the pit lane.
It would be cheap speculation to say Lewis deliberately going into the Ferrari garage after the comments about him joining Ferrari this week. Here's Norris and Perez.
Job from the bottom of my heart. I want to say a massive thank you for everything you've done.
Cheers, mate. You know, I'm not one for speeches like you and Will, but I just want to say you're an absolute legend. I can't believe the rookie year you've had, and the fact that I've had the opportunity to share it with you.
Are you crying? Job, are you crying? I think I'm crying.
Oh, do you know, that's absolutely lovely. It's one of his performance engineer. Last race, and we can't see it on the back of Lando's helmet. He's actually put a picture on there as well. Andrew Jarvis, Jarv, as you heard him calling, but that's absolutely brilliant. And he's needed good people around him, Lando, in his first season. I think he's acquitted himself brilliantly well.
Yeah, he's learned a lot. He can put that to good use next year now.
And his teammate does take 6th place in the Drivers' Championship as well. Lewis Hamilton getting the applause as he makes his way to the podium. He's not equalled. Not broken the record for podiums this season. That'll come next year, I'm sure. And, Hamilton greeted there by Britta Seeger, one of the board members for Daimler-Benz.
Thank you so much. How was the start?
It's okay. I think yours was just a little bit better.
I went wide at turn 3 and I might have damaged.
Yeah, you were like...
I just kept it lit and I understeered off the speed.
Yeah. But it was still alright, you didn't lose too much.
No.
You lost it out of turn 7.
No traction. I was behind Lewis and...
You went in detail. Relatively did the pace there, huh?
Yeah, I lost quite a bit in the beginning. But you were in general just like 3 minutes faster. See, you can just move front and
First time you got a chance to look at a rerun of the race. And that might be the first time that they've had a glass of champagne this evening, but it probably won't be the last for Mercedes this winter as well. 6 consecutive drivers and Constructors' Championships, which has never been done before.
Some handy bonuses in the team. Again.
Yeah. They're rather getting used to that. And Charles Leclerc, I'm sure, getting used to being on the podium as well, albeit today he ends a 4-race streak without a podium finish. For the time being, he's on the podium. Stewards looking into a possible breach of the technical regulations. Max Verstappen, who's had 4 podiums taken away from him in the past, in the stewards' room, comes out in 2nd place, bouncing his way to the top step of the podium in his 250th Grand Prix. The winner, Lewis Hamilton.
Without doubt, for me, the best season we've had in this hybrid era that started back in 2014. Some great races. Hockenheim, the German Grand Prix, one of the best races I've ever commentated on. So it's been fun. I really enjoyed this year, Crofty.
As has that man there, well held just by Lewis Hamilton. A season where we lost Antoine Hubert, we lost Niki Lauda. In Australia, we lost Charlie Whiting as well, but we found many, many reasons to fall in love with Formula One. Lewis Hamilton, who led every single lap of the final race, led every single round of the championship from Spain onwards. I agree with you, Martin. Thoroughly enjoyed the 21 races that we have had throughout 2019. The 1,262 laps that we've had as well. Charles Leclerc found what it's like to be a winner. Max Verstappen found what it was like to be a winner and finally to get pole positions as well. And Lewis Hamilton found the consistency, Mercedes alongside him, that you need. 2019 and this decade in Formula One is done. Mercedes have dominated here as they have done many, many times before. Thank you very much indeed. Can't wait for 2020.
And it'll be here before you know it. Christmas will be out the way in a flash. Then it'll be testing, and we're back with you in Australia. And we just can't wait to continue this story because, OK, today wasn't up to the standard of some of the races that we've had so far this season. But the simple fact that you've got 3 teams on the podium there and 3 men who would love to see locked in wheel-to-wheel combat in 2020, it's apt that they should finish there, as Martin was saying. King Lewis and the 2 pretenders to the throne. However, they are going to the stewards, Ferrari, in a roughly 40 minutes' time because of the discrepancy in the amount of fuel that they announced and the amount that they found in the car. And we hope to bring you the outcome of that, whether they are disqualified or not. Is a technical directive. If they're found guilty, it looks like they will be banged to rights, but we shall see. Guys, can I bring you in before we talk about anything else? The simple fact that Lewis was away and gone then, dominant here, but you have to, over the course of the season, he's knocked it out of the park again. It's the most amount of wins, the most amount of points he's had in the season. He knows what he can do in that Mercedes. He just gets the best out of it all the time.
You can say wheel to wheel, he's delivered. He's raced hard, he's been consistent, necessarily because he had a bad qualifying. He's stuck by in the race. He has never given up. All the way through every Grand Prix he's done. That was a dominant win. It's a bit of a shame that the last race went as easy as it did to them, but the car excelled around here. It's a tricky track to get a car in balance. It's got a lot of slow speed stuff, and that's where the Mercedes had the advantage over the others.
Yeah, and again, he's been classy all year. He's controlled many of the races, and I think once again he showed that he is still the best on track.
OK, the details for next season. Let's just have a look ahead to it. Mark, we're finishing the latest we've finished since 1963, by the way, and we start again March the 13th to the 15th in 2020. We will be bringing you testing as well live, so full coverage of that. The Super Sunday, right now it's Norwich against Arsenal on Sky Sports Premier League, and then Leicester, high-flying Leicester, up against Everton from 4, and available from Saturday on Sky Store. Great film, that one, worth a watch, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.